Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's professional development session on video accessibility, ensuring that your instructional video, live or on demand, is accessible to all your students. This is a big concern for us. We definitely don't want to leave any of our students behind. And instructional video has become such an important part of online learning. And for that matter, it's vital in classes that are taught face-to-face in the classroom so that students can have something to review when they get home. And some of our students are unable to consume that video in many ways. Hearing impairment, blind students, students with certain learning disabilities, cognitive challenges, students with motor problems that prevent them using a mouse, for instance, and things like that. All of these are factors we need to take into account when we're putting video online, mainly because it's the right thing to do, but also because we'll get in a heap of trouble if we don't. The state and federal law, district policy, California community colleges policy, all require us to ensure that the videos that we put online for our students, again, either live in real time like we're doing right now, or on demand, must be accessible to everyone. So what we're going to talk about today, of course, is how to ensure that. And the good news is it's no longer difficult or expensive or time-consuming to do so. It just takes a little preparation and a little knowledge. And that's what we're here for. First thing I'm going to make sure of is that this session is accessible. Zoom comes with live real-time captioning capability built in. This wasn't always the case, and it was a major impediment to us adopting Zoom for many years. Then Zoom did include an option for a person to caption our Zoom meetings live, somebody who could type really, really fast, like a court reporter with a 12-key machine and so on. But that is very, very, very expensive. And when the pandemic hit, CCC Confer, the state video conferencing grant, ran out of money for that almost instantly. It is very expensive, and there aren't that many of those people around, so it was the live captioners around, so that it was almost immediately impossible to offer live captions in our Zoom meetings, which immediately put us in violation of all those rules, regulations, and statutes. We could have been sued for a ton. We found some workarounds early on, involving some technologies that I'll show you today. But thank goodness about 2 years ago now, I guess, Zoom came through with their own live captioning capability. And I'm going to turn that on now. I'm going to show you how to do it. That'll be our first item of business. I'm going to share my Zoom screen with you. So this is going to get, let's see. Just keeping track of, see if anybody else shows up in the other Zoom room. Okay, I'm going to share my Zoom screen with you so you can see what I'm doing. And there it goes, and there we are. As the host, when you are the host of a Zoom meeting, you'll find in your Zoom menu bar at the bottom of the screen a live transcript option, which I'm pointing out right there. It's a it has the little universal closed captioning symbol, CC. And to turn on the live captions in a Zoom meeting, you just click, as the host, you click the CC button and you get this menu. And the top part of this box here is associated with the live human captioning capability, which we don't have access to anymore. But the bottom part of the box where it says live transcript allows us to turn on Zoom's artificial intelligence driven real-time captioning. All we have to do that is click this button that says enable auto transcription. Click. And now we have auto transcription. I have my subtitles turned on. So you're seeing it across the bottom of my screen here. One of the neat things about these captions is that you can move them around the screen so you can see them better and they don't lay over top of something else you're trying to look at. This captioning engine is phenomenal. Even gets the word phenomenal. That's pretty good. It is not perfect, but it's really, really good. So it's better than many live human captioners I've seen. You've all seen live events on TV being captioned, and that's normally done by a human being, by a live transcriptionist. News events, live hearings, things like that are captioned. And usually there's a big lag between the speech and the words appearing on the screen, and the accuracy is indifferent at best. Zoom's artificial intelligence captioning is generally much, much better. And it's comes with your Zoom account for free. Well, you're not charged extra, nor is the state charged any extra for this capability. Zoom realized this was an essential capability to have, and particularly when the pandemic hit and their usage skyrocketed, they knew that they wouldn't be able to operate without this. And the technology has matured to the point where this really works. As a participant in a Zoom meeting, you have that same little CC symbol. And if you click on that, you'll have an option to turn subtitles on and off. We'll talk about the difference between subtitles and captions here in a moment, but for now, just assume it's the same thing. Functionally, they are. So you can turn those on and off. So they are truly what we call closed captions. Closed captions are captions you can turn on and off, as opposed to open captions, which you can't turn off. We don't use open captions generally. All right, so if you click on the CC button, you'll see this menu that I get by clicking on the little up caret beside it. And there's an option to hide the subtitles. And mine go away, but you can turn yours on at any time now if you want them. And that's really critical, not only for people with hearing impairment, but also for folks whose mother tongue is not English, or for folks, there's a spectrum of audible learners, if you will. Some people absorb information from hearing it very well, others not as much. And it's a natural human variation. And some people really benefit from seeing the text of what's being said at the same time that they hear it, even if they can hear it perfectly well. I've gotten absolutely dependent on captions. I never watch TV anymore without captions, primarily because of a hearing loss, a mild hearing loss. But I find that once I get used to the captions, that I really missed them if I didn't have them, even if I could hear and understand what was being said perfectly well, because I got used to being able to look up and catch up on what had just been said. If I got fixated on something on the screen and missed a word or two, I could look up and the captions would still be there. I can keep up. So it's, live captions are just amazingly useful if you need them or if you want them. And Zoom gives you that capability all the time. Zoom gives you even more than that. Zoom will give you a transcript of everything that's said in the meeting.
I want something that you like. What?
Sorry? Okay, we're getting a little background noise there. I just muted everyone, but please feel free to unmute and ask a question at any time. So Zoom keeps this running transcript. Once you turn on the live captioning, it starts the transcript and it keeps it coming. You can turn that on if you like by clicking on the CC symbol, or I can turn it on by clicking as the host by clicking on the little up caret next to that, and I can select View Full Transcript. And it pops up on the side of the screen. And there's our full transcription. And as I continue to talk, it just keeps adding to it. And at any time I want to, I can save the transcript. And indeed, there's a setting in Zoom that allows me, if I'm recording the session as I am here, allows me to have Zoom automatically save the transcript at the end of the meeting so that I have a complete transcript. You ever been in that situation where you got to a meeting late and everybody's sitting there smiling at you and okay, you just got elected to take the minutes because you were the last one to come in. If it's a Zoom meeting and the live captions are on and the transcription is on, no problem. Not only do you get every word that's said in the meeting with considerable accuracy, it's easier to read than my meeting notes when I have to scribble them out, I'll tell you that. But you also can tell who said what. It identifies the speaker, so you know who has said what. So this is a marvelous tool in Zoom. It's available in your Zoom your Zoom SDCCD Zoom accounts. Indeed, it's available, I'm pretty sure it's available in free Zoom accounts as well. It's something that Zoom thinks is essential correctly. So, and I can always close this transcript at any time by just hitting that little down caret there and closing it. Or I can pop it out and leave it on another screen and watch it in case I missed something that somebody said. I have used that from time to time. Sometimes Zoom hears things better than I do. And I can go back and look at the transcript and see what somebody just said to me because maybe my speakers weren't quite up to the job or something. So great capability. And it makes sure that all of your attendees can participate in the meeting and can know what you're saying and have the same access to the information that's being offered in the meeting as everyone else, which we are obligated to do for various reasons we've already talked about. Okay. So what are the required accessibility features that we have to provide for pre-recorded or on-demand online video, which is probably how we'll deliver a lot of our video instruction to our students. We record video, we put it online, we give the students the link to it. They can watch it anytime they want to, as often as they like. They can start it and stop it, and think about it, rewind it, and play it again, and have all those advantages that a pre-recorded online video gives them. So what accessibility features is it absolutely necessary for us to provide? Well, primarily, the most important are the subtitles or captions for the pre-recorded video. When a student plays the video, they have to be able to see what you're saying playing out in text on the screen. In most cases, they can turn that on or off if they don't wish to have it, but they have to have access to it. And that's a requirement we just have to meet. They have to be either subtitles or captions. There is a technical difference between the two. Either one is sufficient. The subtitles contain the text of the speech that's in the video. So anytime someone is speaking, the text of what they're speaking rolls across the bottom of the screen usually. But it's just the text. This is what you get with movies that are in a foreign language, and you're watching the movie and you see the English subtitles across the bottom of the screen. Captions technically are a little more. Captions contain information other than, or may contain information other than just speech. Like the identity of the speaker. If there's several people on the screen at one time and you can't tell who's talking, a caption can tell you which person is talking. Or perhaps it's someone off camera who's talking. So it's useful to know who's saying the words that you're seeing in the caption. Also, captions can include sounds other than speech. Classic case being the most of you all are old enough to remember All in the Family and how groundbreaking a comedy that was, Archie Bunker and all that. And of course, one of the most commonly used sounds on that show that was never used before on TV hardly was a flushing toilet. So when they captioned All in the Family, a little pair of brackets would come up, and in between it says toilet flushing, because that was that was a big part of the gag. That's maybe a less than serious example of that. But many times sounds that are occurring in a video have significance, have meaning, like a chime or something when you click on something on a part of the screen. So it's important that there are circumstances where that's quite important. And very often when music is played on the screen, you'll see a little, if it's just instrumental music, you'll just see a little musical note as a caption, which lets the person who can't hear know that there is some music playing in the background, because that may have some significance as well. It may even identify the title of the piece that's playing. So captions contain more information than subtitles, but subtitles are good enough for our purposes and for us to maintain regulatory compliance. And subtitles is mainly, when we get automatic captions, what we're getting almost exclusively is subtitles, and that's fine. So how do we get subtitles on our recorded videos that we put online for our students to watch? Well, we do that. That used to be quite a task, I should say first. That used to take a lot of time and a lot of knowledge and access to a variety of captioning tools. Not so much anymore, thank goodness. YouTube started this by 4 or 5 years ago now. I don't know, it's longer than that, probably 8 or 9 years ago, YouTube first introduced automatic captions on all videos uploaded to YouTube. It was a major project at Google. It was right on the bleeding edge of technology, of the speech to text technology at the time. And initially, the captions were kind of humorous. They weren't real accurate. Sometimes they were downright obscene, and it was fun to look at the captions in YouTube and see, you know, hilarious misidentification of words. But that really doesn't happen anymore. The technology has matured vastly over the years. It is exceptionally accurate. But YouTube was the first to do that. But very quickly, other video hosting sites had to follow suit, or they would have completely lost relevance because of all sorts of regulations that require that sort of thing now, particularly for online education. Schools who played fast and loose with those requirements have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawsuits filed by people like the National Association for the Blind, or the similar organizations for those with hearing loss. So this is not something that we dare, it's something we ignore at our peril. So we don't ignore it. The three video hosting sites that we most often use in online education, or in instruction of all types at the district, include the Zoom Cloud. Let's see, yep, that's up there. And I'm going to kill my Zoom screen share so you get yours back, but you're still seeing basically the same thing. The Zoom Cloud is where our Zoom recordings go if we don't otherwise specify. Second most common probably is Canvas Studio here on the right, or YouTube. And these three hosting sites all have something in common. They all can or will automatically provide automatic captioning for the videos that you put on, so that you don't have to do anything to get your videos captioned, except in one case, that being Canvas Studio, you have to ask it to do it. Please, can I have captions? And it will do it. And each of these sites has speech to text capability that is excellent. Very, not perfect. It doesn't catch every word, but it does a marvelous job. We'll talk more about how to make sure each one of those sites will give you captions, and how when you upload a video to them. And we'll talk about how to edit those captions where necessary if there are critical inaccuracies in the automatic captions that are created. But there's more to to video accessibility than there is than just captions or subtitles. The players that play back the videos on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet have to be accessible as well. This is particularly important if you have someone who's blind and needs to be able to rewind the playback or start and stop it. Or someone who is paralyzed, or has, for a variety of reasons, has limited use of their arms and hands. These people need to be able to control the playback just as anyone else can, because that's a major advantage of putting video online, that people can control the playback and stop it when they need to, and move and rewind and replay and so on. So it's critical that that be an option. Fortunately, the players for all three of these sites, these hosting sites, all are accessible in this sense through keyboard control. And you say, well, you know, a person who's paralyzed couldn't use a keyboard. No, but there are alternate keyboard type devices that are available to folks who need them, accessibility enhancements that allow them to, in effect, issue keyboard commands as if they were pressing a key on the keyboard by alternate means. Eye movements, a pointer held in the teeth that allows them to punch keys, or shine a light on a virtual keyboard. They're just all sorts of clever accessibility devices that allow someone to, in effect, send keyboard key presses downstream. And all of these players are controllable in that way. Let's take a look and see what we see how that works on each of these sites. We'll go first to our Zoom player. That's probably one that we use more than any other, the Zoom Cloud, where our recordings of Zoom sessions or of video productions that we create using Zoom end up as recordings. You can access your Zoom accounts at zoom.us. Let me log out and show that process. You just go to your web browser, type in zoom.us, press enter, and you go to the Zoom corporate website. Then you sign in using the sign in button there, using the credentials for your SDCCD Zoom account. And your Zoom Cloud recordings can be accessed. This is where they actually live. You can access them here. And you'll get a list of all the ones that you've made. And let's see, I had one here that I was going to utilize as an example. Let's use this one. You can access the recording by clicking on the, let's go back and do that again. Let's see that again. By clicking on the topic link. Mine all say the same thing because I always use my personal meeting room and I don't schedule the meetings in advance on Zoom. So I have to just recognize things by date and other means. But there's the one I want to look at. To access a recording in Zoom, we just click on the little blue rectangle and there we go. And here's my Zoom recording video. And here's the transcript that was automatically created. More about that in a minute. And I can control if I have vision and can control my mouse. I can just start and stop downloading your Zoom the playback by using the play and pause button there. But I can also do that by tapping the space bar. Cloud recordings to your local computer. And then when I tap the space bar again, I pause. So I can start and stop a playback of a Zoom recording, the playback of a Zoom recording at will. And as I'm playing, I can move forward. Pause that again. I can move forward in the video as I'm playing. I think it's 5 seconds at a time by tapping the right arrow button on my keyboard. But with the
primary menu recordings, the first thing you'll want for
With Zoom, it's 10 seconds. Sorry.
Window.
So I can jump ahead or I can jump backward.
With the quicker.
And that's basically what you need. There are other keyboard controls that are available, but those are the ones you need to remember. And the Zoom player has those built in. So it is, without you having to do anything, the Zoom player, the Zoom cloud player is fine. And it is accessible to folks with motor difficulties or vision impairment or whatever. The same is true with the player in YouTube. Let me just pick a playback here. I'll just pick a video at random in my YouTube content list.
And now we're recording.
I can pause with the space bar, and I can start it again.
At this point, you would
space
say
bar.
whatever you would.
I can jump ahead 5 seconds using the right arrow on the keyboard, or I can go back 5 seconds at a time using the left arrow. I can control the volume, and this is what I'm saying for YouTube is true for the Zoom cloud player as well. I can control volume with the up and down arrows on the keyboard. I can lower the volume.
Wish to say to your students or to your audience, whomever they might be,
using the up and down arrows.
And something other than your.
So those three things: space bar to play and pause, the left and right arrows to move forward and back in the video in jumps of 5 to 10 seconds at a time, and the up and down arrows to control volume. And that is that up and down arrow to control volume will work with the Zoom cloud player as well. And this is also true on with the Canvas Studio player. Yeah. It timed me out. Jabbering too much. It's like everybody got the word. I haven't seen anybody show up in the other Zoom meeting for a while. Okay, now I can play this, and I can start to play back with a
just that easy. It's recording.
Start and stop with the space bar. I can move forward and backward 5 seconds at a time in the video, and I can control the volume. That's not so obvious if I'm not playing.
Studio switcher, these to get this kind of capability, and now you can do it just as.
So those three basic functions can be controlled on any of these players. There are each player has other capabilities that can be controlled through the keyboard as well, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. You can get that information from each of the sites, but those are the things that everybody's going to need and that we have to ensure are available in order to make our online video accessible in senses other than captions and subtitles. There's one other item of one other area of accessibility that we're statutorily and policy-wise required to provide. That is a gray area, quite frankly, and that's video descriptions. And these are intended primarily for people who are blind or severely hearing or visually impaired. A video description describes what's happening on the screen in a video. It's a secondary soundtrack that is placed in the video along with the primary soundtrack. And in the intervals between, say, one of the people being pictured in the video speaking, it will include a little, either the video descriptions will go into the quiet spaces during the video playback, or they will be available at a lower volume so you can hear them, but they don't prevent you from hearing the primary audio track, the primary dialogue or music or whatever is playing in the video. This sounds complicated, and it is, and time consuming, and it's that too. It's something that can be done by a non-professional videographer like all of us, but it's ferociously time consuming. It involves using a video editor generally, and playing the video back and recording commentary. You may have seen something like this on DVD movies, where if you, there are, there are, the movie is playing, and they'll have somebody like the director or the producer or somebody who is associated with the movie talking about what's going on in the movie and making snarky comments about the actors and things like that, and with the director's commentary. And that's an example of video description. But this is something that is realistically beyond, at least in practical terms, beyond the capability of an instructional video author. One of us who are not pros at this, who are just trying to get some decent instructional video for our students. This would add so much time to the production process, even if we were competent to do it, that it would practically make instructor-produced instructional video impossible. So we're in a bit of a quandary with this. What do we do to avoid getting ourselves into trouble and to make sure that our students who are blind can actually get some benefit from an instructional video? And the best thing that we can really do is to be sure that when we narrate our instructional videos, that our narrations are as rich and descriptive as we can possibly make them. And this is not a new idea. We've all been told this when we lecture in class. You may have a blind student in your class, and you're up there lecturing, you're writing on the board and things like that, and the blind student can't see that. So you have to describe verbally for the blind student or for everyone, but mainly to the benefit of the blind student, exactly what you're doing. I'm solving this equation. You voice the equation as well as writing it on the board. And you're pointing at something in a graph. You have to describe the graph. Well, it's a straight line, 1-to-1 slope going from left to right. And I'm pointing at the data point 2,2 or whatever. You have to make your speech as descriptive as you possibly can so that someone who is blind can keep up with what you're doing, at least reasonably well. And this, of course, takes a lot more effort. But it's not something unique to recorded video or live video, for that matter. It is something that makes our lectures much more effective anyway. That's pretty much a characteristic of most accessibility requirements. Though they may be directed at people with certain disabilities, they make the overall quality of our presentation better, albeit at greater effort on our part, but it does make us better lecturers if we utilize these features of so-called universal design. So that's especially true when you're narrating a presentation or where you're demonstrating something on the computer screen and projecting it to your students in the classroom, on the projection screen on the wall, or sharing your screen with your students. And via Zoom. And it's a habit that it's good to get into. For instance, I might point at a portion of the screen and say, let's look here. Well, somebody who can't see this is not going to do them any good. But I can say, well, I'm pointing here at the Zoom logo, the Zoom Cloud logo, and that's what I'm talking about. Or I'm going to click on this button, which is in the upper left-hand corner of the screen at the beginning of the menu. And a blind student using a screen reader later can find that portion of the screen. And because of the order in which things are read to them of the screen reader. It doesn't make it easy, but it makes it possible for them to benefit from the video. Oh, that's cool, Pamela. Interesting. I'm going to look that up. So just what we can do in lieu of doing formal video descriptions, which would just take way too much time. And no one's suggesting that you have to do that. No one, this is something that is always winked at when, you know, the accreditors come in and they look at your online videos and they see the captions. You get a pass, you can go on. And they know that you're using a site that has an accessible player and so on already. So the video, I've never heard anyone called out for lack of video descriptions. But it is important that we do our best to make our narrations of our videos as richly descriptive as we possibly can. Okay, so let's take a look at how this happens, how this accessibility happens in each of our three primary oh, that's cool. Excellent. So you have a student record and help. Having a helper for something like this certainly is a huge benefit. Okay. So how do we get automatic Zoom, subtitles in our Zoom cloud recordings? Well, no problem. It is the subtitle creation, like the live captions in Zoom, is accomplished by an artificial intelligence-driven automated process, which in effect listens to the speech in the video, in the soundtrack of the video, and converts that to text, the speech to text and text engine. That sounds complicated, and it is phenomenally complicated. It is nothing. It meets the definition or the dictates of Clarke's first law, which state that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Named after Arthur Clarke, who first said that, I guess, or who got credit for it anyway. Famous author. And this is magic. That's all I can say. The programming necessary to create these systems that can actually understand and convert speech to text is insane. I mean, I grew up with Captain Kirk talking to the Enterprise, right? Well, that's reality now. You can talk to computer systems. and they will hear you. Alexa, can you hear me?
I'm here. I listen once I hear the wake word.
Yeah, well, most of us got those in there in our houses as well. And it's phenomenally accurate. Not perfect, but really, really, really good. In the Zoom cloud, these subtitles are created automatically. Not only is your speech transcribed to text, but the Zoom cloud also takes the transcript and compares it to when the words were said in the timeline of the video, because it has all that information. It chops the transcript up into 1 or 2 line segments, and it ensures those segments appear as subtitles on the screen at the right time. And it does all this automatically with no intervention necessary on your part. Those subtitles just appear magically a few minutes to an hour or so after you upload, after you finish your Zoom meeting, and the Zoom recording is sent automatically to the Zoom cloud. You don't have to do a thing. You can be confident that those captions will be available within a reasonable period of time, unless you tell Zoom not to do that. There is a setting that you can turn off that will prevent that from happening, but it is turned on by default in your Zoom SDCCD EDU Zoom sessions. If you are in a situation where you're not getting cloud captions in your cloud recordings, or subtitles actually in your cloud recordings, please let me know. I'll help you out with that. So these subtitles are created automatically. And Zoom will even tell you, they'll send you, the Zoom cloud will send you an email when the captions are ready, in case that's a critical thing for you, in case maybe you don't want to post the link to the Zoom recording until the captions are there, because you know you have a hearing impaired student in the class. Zoom will tell you when the captions are ready, or you can just go in and look at the video as we did a minute ago and see them there. They're very easy to find. Let's go back to the Zoom player. Yeah, they're present as a transcript on the right-hand side. And as you play,
Loading your Zoom cloud recordings to your local computer,
this highlight will move.
will access your local or your cloud recording.
So your transcript is synchronized to the timeline of the video, to the events in the video. So it will keep it, you can see what's being said at the time it's said. However, this is not really sufficient to ensure accessibility for someone who's hearing impaired, because if they're having to watch, to look over here all the time, they're going to miss things that are going to take place on the screen. And that's not fair. So to fully comply with this accessibility regulation, we also have to have the subtitles that appear over top of the video. And those are available. All we have to do to turn them on in the Zoom player is to click on the little the standard CC symbol down here. If I click that and then play,
by webbing to zoom.us, the Zoom corporate website, and signing in to your Confer Zoom account.
And notice these are actually captions. It's identifying the speaker because it knows who is in the meeting and who is speaking. So these are actually more captions than subtitles. Not that that makes a big deal, but it's a matter of some academic interest. and so that the person who is watching the video can just glance quickly at the captions and see what's being said. Though it does take practice. Try watching a video sometime with the captions on and turning the sound down. And that'll give you some feel for that. But to have both is wonderful. It really makes it easier to understand what's going on and to keep up with the action in the video if you have the captions. Like I say, I don't ever watch a video anymore without captions. So that's how this works in Zoom. And as accurate as the subtitles are, or captions are, in the Zoom player or in the Zoom cloud, they're not perfect. These speech-to-text engines will sometimes misidentify a word or just, do their best, and because it's a word that's not in their dictionary, that they've never heard before, because it's a technical term in your subject area. Jargon is very difficult sometimes, though surprisingly that's most technical terms will, or most jargon terms will be identified correctly. But if they're not in the Zoom transcript, it's very easy to correct this. All you have to do is point at a particular entry in the transcript with your mouse button or your mouse cursor, and you'll get a little edit symbol that you can click on, and you'll be able to edit this just by typing. So editing captions is easier in the Zoom cloud than in any of the other resources that we're going to take a look at today. It's really very well designed.
Hi, Dave. Good
Yes.
afternoon. I have a question. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's good.
I was just right here when we're talking about editing. When I teach foreign language, so it goes back and forth from English to Spanish. Do I have to tell it from the very beginning I'm going to be doing Spanish, because I can't do both?
That is a difficult. Usually, it's not going to do both at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And that is in fact a question I got the other day in another session, and I'm working on that right now to see what capabilities there are in that regard, and what you can do. I haven't gotten far enough in my research yet to give you a good answer at this point. Okay, but that's a very good question. Generally, speech-to-text engines will only handle one language at a time.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm hoping that I'm going to find some revelation in my research on that.
Oh, that would be great.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Right there.
Thank you.
Right there at the bottom of that sticky note. Okay.
Thank you,
Good
Dave.
question. Great.
I was just wondering if you had to go from the settings to put it on Spanish, but since I'm going back and forth, I mean, that wouldn't work.
Automatic captioning, exactly. And automatic captioning in Zoom, I believe, is only available in English at this point in the Zoom.
Oh, okay.
That is not true for Canvas Studio and for YouTube, which will do captions in a variety of languages, but only one language at a time, as far as I know. I'm hoping there's something new built into YouTube that I'm not aware of, but I will get back to you on that.
Oh, thank you, Dave.
Good or bad news is the case. Sorry. Okay. So, and once I've finished the editing here, let's see, I need to scroll down here a little bit. There's a little check button that I can click that saves the changes that I've made. So caption editing is really easy to do and quick to do in Zoom, But a question I should get at this point, and I usually do, but I'll go ahead and head it off, is do I have to edit the captions? And I'm going to give you an honest, real-time answer. Mostly not. You do want to look at a few of them at least and see how the captioning engine is doing with your voice and this topic and see, but you're going to see that it's phenomenally accurate. If the video is like a 5 or 10 minute instructional video, I think it's realistic to go through and check the captions from beginning to end and be sure that they're decent. If it's a 2-hour Zoom class recording, I'm not going to do that. I don't do that. I will not check the captions on this recording before I put it online. It's unrealistic. Otherwise, you'd be doing nothing else, because captioning or editing captions is somewhere between a 2 and a 5-fold multiplier of time. That is, you can figure that to edit the captions for a video will take you at best somewhere between 2 and 5 times the runtime of the video. So a 10-minute video would take you somewhere between 20 and 50 minutes to edit the captions. And we just don't have that kind of time. And the captions are so good that it's not worth that much time on your part. The hearing impaired student will still be able to tell what's going on, even if a word is occasionally mangled. And that at least is the philosophy upon which I operate. And I make an awful lot of instructional video. So, and so far I'm still out of jail and employed. So I think we're all right on that. But that's a realistic question. Okay. Moving on. That pretty much covers Zoom and accessibility of Zoom recordings. Let's move on to Canvas Studio, which is our other major academic video hosting service that we have access to for free. Canvas Studio is a video hosting and creation tool that is tightly integrated with our Canvas learning management system. It's not the same system, but it's very tightly integrated with it. It's owned by the same company in structure as the Canvas LMS, and it interoperates with Canvas very efficiently. It's something that you have access to for free by virtue of having a Canvas learning management system account at the SDCCD. Everybody who has an account in Canvas has access to Canvas Studio. All faculty and all students, which is a neat thing. Students can make use of Canvas Studio as much and as well as we can. And more about that, I'm going to be doing an introduction to Canvas Studio next month. But it is a wonderful tool. And it is accessible in all the ways we've talked about so far. Subtitle creation is automated by a similar speech-to-text engine to what's used in the Zoom cloud. It's also very accurate. There is one minor drawback to Canvas Studio in this regard, in that the captions are not created, or the subtitles are not created automatically. You have to ask it to do so. And once you ask it to do so, it will let you know when they're ready by sending you an email. But you then have to go back in and you have to, it makes you look at the captions. It doesn't just let you let them fly. You got to look at them and you got to approve them manually before it will display them to your viewers, which is a bit of a pain. It's not it's not difficult to do. It's not time consuming to do. The problem, when you get to be my age, is remembering to do it. More than once, I've been embarrassed when I've put a Canvas Studio video, a link to a Canvas Studio video online, and someone has emailed me and said, Dave, could you turn on the captions? There's no captions here. What are you doing? Not good. I don't want that. I don't want to hear that from some student's lawyer someday. So that's a little bit of a drawback. And you can also edit the subtitles in Canvas Studio. Let's take a look at how that works. It's easy. Canvas Studio is accessed. Let me jump back to my dashboard here. I'm logged into Canvas. You access Canvas Studio from the Global Access menu, the gray bar on the left-hand side of every Canvas screen. Everybody has this link. It's labeled Studio. Looks like a little monitor with feet. I don't know where that comes from. You click on that icon, and you're taken to your Canvas Studio library, where the videos that you create in Canvas Studio or that you load into Canvas Studio from other sources are stored and displayed to you. This is the place where you can go and manage your videos and watch them and listen to them to make sure they're all right and so on. Your students can't access your Canvas Studio library. You have to share these videos with them through processes that I'll cover in another session. But it's vital that these videos be captioned. So how do you manage that? Well, I'll illustrate the entire process here. I'm going to make a little talking head video while we're working here. I'll click on the add button here for, no, I'm sorry, geez, what am I doing? Click on the record button at the top right-hand corner, little round button that's labeled record that allows you to create video in Canvas Studio. See, I'm trying to describe, rather than just pointing at that and knowing that you can see it and click on it, I try to make myself remember to describe what I'm doing. And it makes it easier for everyone to understand, especially if they don't, if they lose track of that cursor that's moving around there. So I click on the record button, and I can do either screen recording, screencasting, or just webcam capture. So I'm going to webcam capture. I have to select the webcam I want to use in this case, and there I am. Nobody needs to see me in that much of a close-up, but there it is. So here's my webcam recorder in Canvas Studio. And yes, you are seeing that. You see the little blue bar bouncing along in the lower part of the screen. That indicates that the recorder is hearing me, that the audio from my microphone is being fed to the recorder. If I don't see that, I can click where it says mic here, and I get a list of mics. Actually, I probably want that mic, not the other one there. That's a better mic. So I can select the right audio input source so that the recorder can hear me. And as long as I see that blue bar bouncing back and forth, I know that the recorder's hearing me. So now all I have to do to record a short video is to click Start Recording. It's going to count me down 3, 2, 1, and then I can start talking. All right, this is a little talking head video being created using the webcam recorder in Canvas Studio. When I'm done with that, I just click Finish. A big finish button down there. I can play the video back to ensure that it's it recorded. All right, this is a little, it recorded the audio and the video, okay. And once I'm satisfied with that, I just click here where it's click the green button at the bottom of the video that says Save Media. And that is uploaded automatically to my Canvas Studio library because it knows to do that. And just that quickly, the video is available for me to view. Now, if I'd spoken longer, of course, that would have taken more time. And if you like load a Zoom recording into here, it's going to take a good chunk of an hour to upload and process and be ready to use. But we don't have that kind of time. To view that video, I just click on the where it says view and I can play it. All right, this is a little talking. All right, that worked. It's online now. I could share that with my students and so on for whatever reason. If I want this caption, though, rather than depending on it to happen automatically, I have to request the captions. And I do that by clicking on the word captions in this little tab bar just below the video, the last entry. I click captions and I get a caption request menu. All I have to do is tell Canvas Studio what language I'm speaking, what one language I'm speaking. I open up that menu and I see that Canvas Studio has 15 or 20 languages that it can caption in. So if you are speaking in Spanish and you tell Canvas Studio that in fact you were speaking in Spanish, it will caption the video in Spanish. It won't, unfortunately, if you were speaking English, caption it in Spanish. If I tell it it's Spanish and it's English, it's not going to translate that. YouTube will do that, or will give you an option to do that sort of thing, but not Canvas Studio. So I was speaking what we passed off as English in West Virginia, where I grew up. I tell it that, and I just request the captions. I get this little executive pacifier here that tells me that it's working on it, but I don't have to sit here and watch that. I can go to another, I can go back out to my library and I can work on another video. See if I've got one here that's got, and once the captions are ready, as I say, Canvas Studio will send me an email, but I can just come back and check later. And once they're ready, I get this little button, blue button, that says review and publish. If I click that button, I see the captions. And I can play the video.
Start recording. And just that easy, it's recording. It's recording what you see here in the output window.
Let me share that screen so you can hear the sound better. I'll share that screen in Zoom. I share the sound. Get better sound that way. Okay, you're seeing that. And if I change scenes, that was a scene a few days ago here. It's a little less than that now. Here I'm back to my PowerPoint. I can switch back and forth between, and I can pause the player at any time, and I can edit. I think it missed the word here in this spot. This presumes I can type. It won't help you with that. So I can edit these captions very easily, and I can control playback with once I go back and click in the video window, I can control playback with the space. I can have any number of combinations of sources in scenes here that I want. There's my lake and me. And I can switch, to what my... It didn't get switched there. But it did the next time. So editing captions is not difficult. Can be a little tedious, but it's not difficult. It certainly can be tedious. And it's up to your judgment as to whether you think it's necessary or not. But once you're happy with the captions, and let's say even if you were happy with them right off the bat without any editing, you just go to the big green button on the right here that says publish, and you click that.
My hardware switcher is.
And now the captions are published. If I jump back to the library and then view this video again, I've got a little button here that if I mouse over, it looks like it's a square with some little dashes and dots in it. I don't know what that's supposed to be, text, Morse code, I don't know. But that's the button that turns the captions on and off in the Canvas Studio player. And you click that and turn them on.
Recording. And just that easy, it's recording.
With the Canvas Studio player, the captions appear at the top of the screen. And sometimes they can cover things up at the top of the screen. There's no way to change that. And that's not standard. It's much more common to have them display at the bottom. And there have been a lot, but that's not compatible with the Canvas Studio interface. The Canvas Studio uses other things, the bottom of the screen for other things. So it's occasionally a bit of contention with accessibility experts and so on, but this does meet statutory requirements for subtitles. And they can be turned on and off by clicking this button. So it's good enough. And again, the subtitles are quite accurate. So that's how we ensure that our videos that are stored in Canvas Studio have captions and how we can edit them. Neat. Not difficult. Tedious, maybe, in a long video. But in a 5 or 10 minute video, it's not that difficult. What was this, a minute and 14 seconds? It would have taken me just a few more seconds to run through the rest of that video. And you saw how accurate the captions were. There's very, very little editing necessary, generally. And often enough, what is missed is unimportant in terms of someone understanding what's going on in the video. A lot of it's just aesthetic, like though Canvas Studio's captioner actually does a reasonable job of detecting the ends of sentences and putting in a period and then capping the next word and so on. And the Zoom Cloud's not too bad with that either. So, but that's often enough. If you're a real stickler, that's what you're mainly doing when you're editing captions. You're capping first letters of sentences and putting periods or other punctuation in that the automatic captioner is not quite good enough to really catch yet, though they're getting better. They're getting better with that all the time. So that's how you ensure accessibility in Canvas Studio, as videos that are hosted on Canvas Studio.
Hi, Dave. This is Lena
Yes, ma'am.
again. Yes, I wanted to ask you something. I made a series of little videos for like cooking videos on Canvas Studio.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're fun for it was like a vocab lesson of vocabulary in Spanish.
Right.
So like food videos. And so I was wondering, I made a couple like just on my phone, on my smartphone,
Right.
but there's one of them that I had to do it in two. I was wondering how do I combine two
You want to
videos
combine
that-
two videos so
Yeah.
they play as one video?
Exactly. Is
For
there a
that,
way?
You will need a video editor program.
Oh,
There is one built into Canvas Studio, but it's not very convenient to use for what you're describing. It's part of the screen recorder in Canvas Studio. Let me bring that back up. And when you hit record up here in the upper right, if you go to screen capture and you capture your computer screen in a screencast and work through something and then narrate it and then stop it and tell Canvas Studio you're done, it will give you an option to drop that into an editor. And you can add other videos to that and so on, but it's not really very convenient to do that. But there are other video editors, some of which are free and some of which are really easy to use. And I just happen to be working with one right now, prepping some tutorials. And when I next do a session on video editing, I'm going to present that one, I'm pretty sure, as one of the options. It is totally free. It operates through a website, so you can use it with any computer. Let me bring up a new window here to share that with you. Yep. And as always, if at any time I start talking about something and you can't see what I'm talking about, please let me know right away. I'm trying to keep track of it here. I've got so many screens going here in this room that I'm getting a suntan, but sometimes I forget. It's called Clipchamp. CLIPCHAMP.com. And it's got a free version that will do most of what I need to do with a video editor on a regular basis. I'm just going to log in here because I've set mine up, but you can try it for free and it will work through the web. And so you can use it on a Mac or a PC. And you just say, I want to create a video. And you can add your videos. Say you've got those two little videos that you've taken on your smartphone. And if you get those files onto your computer, you can browse for them. And you can, let's see, I found my videos here. And I can put, I don't want to put a long one in there. Let me see here, pick something, that one looks pretty quick. I can open that one. And then I can open another one. And just to show you how simple this is. Uh-oh, that wasn't a small one. Nuts. let me try. Oh, I finished it. There we go. So I can put those on the timeline down here next to one another. And that's all there is to putting them together. Move that over so we don't have to wait here. Can acquire a permanent license for $170. That's your other option is Camtasia for this, which is a good option, but it's not cheap. Creating. So I just put two videos together and it took no time at all. I could do that just answering a question in the middle of a session like that. Clipchamp, I'm very impressed so far with Clipchamp. It produces good quality. It's very easy to export the video to your computer or to a variety of sites online like YouTube. And you can do fairly sophisticated editing with it. Particularly what you're talking about was just taking two videos and putting them together, as you saw, was dirt simple. So Clipchamp, and I'm working on a tutorial on it right now.
Yeah, that would be great, Dave.
Okay, do me a favor. Would you, so I remember to send that to you, would you send me an email mentioning that, and I'll send you the tutorial as soon as I get it ready.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
And this is
Clipchamp free.
It is for basic use. Yes, they keep trying to get you to upgrade, and pay them. But what they want, what they give you in the upgrade, I don't care about. So I'm using it for free. And it works, and it performs well, and it gives all the capability that you normally need. You can put videos together. You can chop pieces of it out of the video out, and do a limited amount of other types of editing. So, and then export the edited video as a single video. So it's a great little tool for, and like I say, it does about 90% of what I do most of the time when I'm editing. So it's great. All right, YouTube. How do we get automatic subtitles? YouTube has indeed, as I mentioned, was the originator of this capability. Google, the owners of YouTube, were the ones who pioneered this capability in public video hosting sites. It has matured greatly over the years. Theirs is still as good as anyone's, and has extra capabilities you don't find with other services. Quite frankly, right now, I'm putting most of my video that I create on YouTube to share because of extra capabilities that YouTube provides that neither Canvas Studio nor the Zoom Cloud do. But that said, they work beautifully for instructional. The other two work beautifully for instructional video as well. YouTube, like the others, is free. It's free to everyone. And there's no reasonable possibility of YouTube going away. It's like the third most visited site on the internet every year. And it provides unlimited free video hosting to anyone with a verified Google account. And to get your YouTube account verified, if you have a Google account, and one Google account gives you access to all of Google's services, all of their free services, like Google Docs, and Gmail is Google, and YouTube are the three big things that they give away for free. And all you have to do to ensure that your YouTube, first off, to ensure that you have a YouTube account, you just need to go to YouTube and try to log in. If you use Gmail or Google Docs, you for sure have a Google account. Should you not have a Google account, you can go to accounts, you can web to accounts, plural.google.com up here. Press enter. And if you've got a Google account, you'll see yourself, or it'll greet you by name anyway, and you get information. If you don't have one, or if you're not logged into it, they will prompt you to create a Google account. Anybody can do that. It's totally free. Takes less than 5 minutes to create a Google account. But initially, your Google account is not verified. They're not absolutely certain you're a human being and not a bot, a web robot. To reassure YouTube that you are in fact a human being, you can web to youtube.com/verify. And you may be prompted to do this at some point anyway, but if you're not, you can do it manually by typing youtube.com/verify, press enter. And if you are verified, it will tell you you are. If not, it will ask you, when you create your Google account, you have to provide them with a smart cell phone number. And if you're not verified, they'll text you or email you a code that you have to enter in a box on the website. And then they know that you're not only are you a human being, but you're also the owner of the email account or the cell phone that you used to create, that was used to create the Google account. So they consider that verification. Once you have verified, you can load any number of videos onto YouTube. Those videos can be of practically any length. I've put 10-hour videos on YouTube in unusual circumstances, but I have done that. There are some limits. If the video file is humongously large, it may fail. But I can't remember the last time that happened. It's pretty much unlimited. You can't put copyrighted videos on YouTube. If you try, they will detect that. They have a bot that runs through and checks for that. And if you put a copy of Miracle on 34th Street or something on there, they'll catch it right away and they'll give you a copyright strike. And when you get 3 copyright strikes, Google deletes your account and turns you into an unperson on the internet. You don't want to do that. You do not want to be on Google's list. I got just a toe onto Google's list one time inadvertently, and I was on probation for 90 days. Wasn't a good feeling. It's not, I don't know. You could be walking down the street in a multicolored SUV, you could drive up and they snatch you in the back and carry you off to a black site somewhere. I don't know. You don't want to mess with Google, but YouTube is just wonderful. It's free, it's compatible, it's reliable. YouTube is never down. And there's no reasonable probability of it going away in my lifetime anyway. So YouTube rather, is great. So how do you get captions, closed captions on your YouTube videos that you upload to YouTube? You don't have to do a thing. YouTube does it automatically. It has a daemon, a process that runs through all the entire YouTube site constantly, and captions new videos that are uploaded. So you can count on your videos that have speech in them being captioned. Every now and then I hear someone's video not being captioned in YouTube, and that will usually only occur if the sound is really bad and YouTube's captioning engine can't really discern it, or if the video has no sound in it for about 10 to 15 seconds at the beginning of the video, YouTube's captioner gives up because it's got a lot of other videos to look at. And if you don't have sound up reasonably close to the beginning of your video, it's not gonna try to caption it. I've had that happen to me. So, but that's unlikely with an instructional video, particularly with instructional videos posted by teachers, because we wouldn't be teachers if we weren't in love with the sound of our own voice, right? Anyway. So you don't have to do anything. You just upload a video to YouTube and it gets captioned. I'm not going to go through the upload process right now because that's another session, and we are moving along here. But I can go to show you what the captions look like in YouTube. I can go to my YouTube Studio, which is my video management tool in YouTube. And I can go to my content list. And here are some videos that I've uploaded. I've got 800 videos on YouTube by now, I guess. And because I love it. It's a great service. To illustrate the captions, I can just bring up one of those videos. And now we're recording. And here's my little CC symbol in the player. I can click that to turn on my automatic captions. At this point, you would say whatever you wish to say to your students or to your audience, whomever they might be, or you can. So I can decide where to put the captions when I'm playing back in YouTube. That's a nice feature that neither the Zoom Cloud nor Canvas Studio give you. Though the Zoom live captions do give you that capability. You can point your webcam at something other than yourself and record. And that just happens automatically. So it's no big deal. And they are, again, amazingly accurate. If you find that there is a need to edit the captions, you can do that in YouTube. You go to this, but you can only edit captions on videos that you have uploaded to YouTube. You can't edit other people's captions. Well, that's not strictly true. There is a process by which, and a series of tools that you can use if you absolutely have to do it. But my advice would be to find another video. If you get into that circumstance, find another video to use, because it's involved, tedious, and quite frankly, I couldn't do it right now without going back and relearning the whole process over again. So I just avoid doing that. But if it's my video, one that I've uploaded, below and to the right of the video, I'll have this blue button that's labeled Edit Video. I click on that. And I go to what's called the Video Details page for this video. That gives me detailed information about the video, like the link to it and things like that. But also, I have this menu over here on the left, and I can see analytics. I can see who's watched it, where they came from, things like that. That's kind of cool. It's got a very basic editor that I really don't recommend. It's not really worth much. I think Clipchamp, before you load the video onto YouTube, edit it with Clipchamp or something similar. But I should say, there's a subtitles option here, which I believe you can see. Yep. If you click on subtitles, it may ask you to set the language. It usually will default for your account, but every now and then it seems to lose track. So, it's got lots of languages, 70 some, I think, that it can handle, far more than any other service I know of. But English is here, but it's got English, Canadian English, Canadian English, you betcha. Yep. Indian English, Ireland, Irish English, United Kingdom English, or United States English. Ain't all the same. I'm constantly reminded of that whenever I talk to my little granddaughter who lives in London. But if I confirm that, now I see a video subtitles page. And this can be a little odd look a little odd at first. But normally, if a video where I haven't done any editing on the captions, I'll see two lines in this table here. The first line is just the video language that I've set. And I really don't need to do anything with that now, unless I want to change it. But the top line will be the automatic English captions that were generated by YouTube's robot. And out to the right along that line, I have this option, this button here that will allow me to duplicate and edit. I'm not quite sure what to use duplication for, but editing, this is where you click if you want to edit the captions. So you click on that and you go to the page with the transcript. And you can play the video. And now we're recording. At this point, you would say whatever you wish to say. And it's darn near perfect, except it doesn't do caps and periods very well. If you are afflicted with I won't go into the Freudian description of that. I'm sure any of you have had who had to take psychology as a core course in college. Remember Freud's different levels and so on. You can figure out which one you are if you have to have caps and periods here. But the text is generally just about perfect. So to your students or to your audience, whomever they might be, or you can point your webcam at something other than yourself and record that. This recorder will record anything that the webcam sees. When you're done, obviously enough, just click Finish. Didn't miss a word. And that's not unusual. What if you want to edit this? Well, you can just click on it at any time and edit. Usual way. You can pause the video, make the edit, and then start playing at the same point again. This interface has improved tremendously over the years. This used to be a lot more awkward. It's very good now. If you want to see the captions as they're broken up and with the timings, you just click here where it says edit timings and you see the actual captions instead of just the transcripts. But if you're just editing the transcript, there's no real need for that, or you can edit it as text. It's easier. When you've finished editing, you just click Publish. And any edits you've made are automatically saved. And you get a third line here on this video subtitle page for this video that says just English. That means these captions have been edited, at least lightly. And you can go back and edit them some more if you want to. You can also download them as caption files and things like that. There are circumstances where you might want to do that. I'll cover one such circumstance when we do the Canvas Studio introduction next month. But anyway, the process of getting your captions in YouTube is trivial. It just happens. And the process of editing them is quite easy to get to and easy to do. There is a problem. I guess I did put that slide in here. I forgot about that. There is an issue with captioning YouTube videos that are imported into Canvas Studio. This is something you can do with Canvas Studio. If I go back to Canvas Studio here for a moment and go to my library, one way I can add video to my library in Canvas Studio is to click this Add button, this little square with the plus in the perimeter up in the upper right-hand corner of the Canvas Studio library interface. There, I'm trying to be descriptive again, trying to get the intent, if not the letter, of video descriptions in there. And click the Add button. I have the option to bring a video over from YouTube in the Canvas Studio, so I can have all my videos that I want to use together. And I can I don't have to remember whether I put the video in YouTube or Canvas Studio, go searching around the internet for it. That's a handy thing to be able to do. Let me pull a video over. Like, let's pull this video that I just uploaded to Canvas Studio here, or to YouTube here, or the video we were working with, this clip champ test that I did. I can I just need the link, the share URL for this video. There's a variety of ways I can get that, but one way to do it is to edit the video details. I can go back to the video details page, and the YouTube link for that unique link for that video is right here, and I can copy it to my clipboard just by clicking on this icon here that looks like two overlapping squares. I've copied that to my clipboard. Now I can go back to Canvas Studio and I can paste that link into this box here as requested and click Add Video. And that video is embedded in my Canvas Studio library. It's actually still on YouTube, but I've got it in my Canvas Studio library. I can find it from here. I can do things like share it with my students in Canvas very easily, even more easily than if it were just on YouTube. I can add quizzes to it, which is more difficult on YouTube or impossible without extra capabilities that you have to install for YouTube and so on. So there's some advantages to bringing your YouTube videos that you want to share with people into Canvas Studio. But there's a big drawback too. If I view this video and play, and now we're recording. At this point, there's no captions. There's no button to turn them on. And when I go to the Captions tab here below the video, it just says no captions yet, and it doesn't give me an option to create them. Canvas Studio can't caption this video. It was captioned on YouTube, remember, but the captions didn't come over, nor will they. There is an option to get them, but it requires action on your part. You have to go back to YouTube and go to the video subtitles page for this video and click the options menu, the context menu out at the right-hand end of the caption track that you want, which would be the edited one. And you get the three vertical dots, which are universal menu symbol. Click on that, and there's a download option, an option to download the captions from YouTube. And it gives you a choice of formats because there are many different caption file formats. This is just going to be a text file with the timings and the text of the captions in it. But there are a variety of formats and how those are presented. And these are three of the more common ones. I know for a fact that Canvas Studio will handle either VTT or SRT. I'm not sure about SBV, which is a somewhat less common format. I haven't tried it. I don't know, because one of these is fine. SRT is the most common. Subrip captions are the most common caption files. So I'll select that one. And it immediately downloads those. It gives me an option to download those captions in an SRT file. I can just save that to where it's automatically going to go into my downloads folder, but I think I have a YouTube Captions downloads folder. There it is. Yeah, you're seeing that. And I can, the file is just named Captions, unless you rename it. I'm going to rename it so I can find it, since I've already got captions.srt up here. So I'm going to call this Captions, for example, 7/25/2022, so I can recognize it again. Now, to get those captions into Canvas Studio, I have to go here. I go back to Canvas Studio. and I tell it I want to upload English captions. Now I have a caption file I can upload. Click that. I have to go looking for it, find it where I did just a minute ago. There it is, YouTube caption downloads. And here's the one that I just downloaded. And select that and open it. And bada bing, now this is captioned. Would say whatever you wish to say to your students or to your audience, whomever they might be. So that's not that tedious, but it does require remembering how to do it. So it's not ideal. And there's a big gotcha here. You can only do this if it's your YouTube video. If it's a YouTube video uploaded by someone else, you can't get the captions from YouTube to put into Canvas Studio. So that's a big drawback. If you're using realistically, if you're using a YouTube video in your course and it's not one of your videos, you're better off linking directly to it on YouTube than bringing it over into Canvas Studio, because you won't have captions if you play it from Canvas Studio, and that's not allowed. Okay, so that's how we get captions on our YouTube videos that we've transferred to Canvas Studio. Real-time captions are available when you're not using Zoom as well. If you are presenting in the classroom using PowerPoint or Google Slides, you can also provide real-time captioning to your students in the classroom, which is a definite help to students who are learners of English. English is a second language, or in any course. We're all going to have students in class who are not native speakers of English. So you can turn on captioning, live captioning, in both PowerPoint and Google Slides. And it's excellent. This is what we used to use to get live captioning in a Zoom meeting through a convoluted process before Zoom provided live real-time captioning. In PowerPoint, which I'm using right now, and you're seeing, if I move my mouse cursor to the lower left corner of the screen, there are a series of little circles. They're kind of faint, so it's a little hard to see, but the next to the last circle is a little square with little dots and dashes in it. I'll get it out in a minute. And if I click on that, that starts real-time subtitles. So now, if I'm presenting in the classroom, my students in the classroom see these real-time subtitles, which is really pretty cool. I can turn them off at need just by clicking that little circle again. You can ensure that those are turned on from the get-go in PowerPoint by in the PowerPoint interface, when you go to the slideshow ribbon, over here on the right, almost all the way to the right, there is a little block on captions and subtitles. And I can't really, I guess that's true. I can't really show you that. Let me pull up another PowerPoint. That's the one I'm presenting right now, so it won't let me muck with that right now. So let me pull up another presentation I've got here. It doesn't matter which one. Take that one. Okay, where'd that come up? Oh, there, took it a second. All right, here's another PowerPoint presentation. I'm not presenting right now. I can go to slideshow, and I've got this button that will say always use subtitles, or this checkbox. If I turn that on, I'll have the subtitles available at least. And I have some settings, like I can govern where the subtitles appear on the slide. I can set the spoken language. There are quite a few options there. So you can do this if you're presenting in languages other than English. You can select one of these and so on. So there's some cute settings in PowerPoint that you can use. So that's one way to get live real-time captions in class. You can do the same thing with Google Slides. Not quite as effectively, but let me pull up a Google Slides presentation here. Free PowerPoint. And if I go to slideshow to present this, here's my Google Slides, first slide of this presentation. And if I move my mouse cursor down to the lower left-hand corner of the screen, I get this little oval down here with a menu button in it with 3 vertical lines in it. I can click on that, and I can go to captioning preferences, and I can toggle captions on. I can also do that on the keyboard with Control-Shift-C. And click that, and now I have real-time live captions in Google Slides. And I think it's even a little better than that you get in PowerPoint. They both have some advantages, but the Google Slides are certainly faster and just as accurate as the PowerPoint ones. I think the PowerPoint ones do a little bit better job of breaking up sentences, but that's not really that important. So this is a way, and these are ways that you can use live captioning in class and make your classroom PowerPoint and Google Slides presentations even more accessible, because students sitting in the back of the room who's not a native speaker of English may be struggling, but if they see the captions, they'll be much more informed as to what you're presenting. So it's a great feature to have, and since we were talking about accessibility, that seemed like a reasonable place to throw it in. As the last slide, I am done for today. 7 minutes over, sorry. Had that little bit of fuss at the beginning there, my bad. All right, now, as always, I'll take as many questions as you have that you haven't already asked. I'll check the chat tool here as well. But if somebody has a question, please just unmute yourself and speak up. Let's deal with video accessibility questions first, and then I'll answer anything for anybody that I can answer about anything. Okay. The meaning of life is 42. Let's get that one out of the way. I got that from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So beyond that, oh, thanks, Christy. All righty, let's see. Pamela, that Laban analysis, Laban notation, I got to look into that. That looks fascinating.
Yeah, if you want to write down her name, well, I guess I could type it in chat, I suppose.
It's yeah. I'll have the chat log. I saved
it's
that.
Irmgard Bartenieff. I took a workshop with her.
Thank
Yeah, because I used to
that's a cool
choreograph, but it isn't. it's not just for choreographers. What it really is time was one of the coordinates. So you could think fast or slow, right? But okay. And then there was something called weight. So it kind of had to do with bound flow or unbound flow. That was another one. If the movement had if it had a bound feeling versus if it was unbounded. And then the other one was let's see, bound flow. Yeah, it's something that's like really heavy, really light. So like her joke as a, because what they used it for was for work. They was used to document workers at work so they wouldn't hurt themselves, and to make sure that things were person was moving efficiently.
Yeah.
So that's how it's
Efficiency and occupational therapy. Fascinating.
yeah.
I can't wait to look into that.
Yeah, so Irmgard Barteniyev, she wrote a book. It's called Laban Analysis. Laban Analysis is her book. But her joke in the workshop was she taught us how to fall too. But she had us do this thing where we would be, you know, like walking around, like carrying like something really heavy, and then she'd have us just drop to the ground and flop into a big heap, and her funny joke was like you're coming really strong at somebody, and then you would go into this light little, you would go backwards, very fast away light. So she would take the complete opposite of someone who's like really coming after you, I'd like to scare you, and then she'd have us run backwards really, really light. And that just really tickled her. She was really something. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Do we? Thanks very much for sharing that.
Sure.
Do we have another
Yeah, can we?
questions about accessibility? Yes, go for it.
So how do we disable those details?
Right. Thank you. Short-term memory is the second thing to go. What can I tell you? Thank you very much for reminding me. Let's go back to Canvas Studio. Okay, when you share a video in Canvas Studio, typically you're sharing it in Canvas, right? And well, this is only something you have to worry about if you are sharing it in Canvas anyway. So let me go to a Canvas course here. Jump out of Studio, go back to my dashboard, and I've got a Canvas Studio Sandbox course here I'll use. This is just a course that I use to demonstrate things. Let's see, here's from a Canvas Studio introduction. I'll just pick this module at random to use, and I'll share a Canvas Studio video here. There's a couple of ways I can do that. The best way, I think, is to click, of course, you got to click the Add Item button for the module. And I'm going to add a Canvas page, a blank page. I'm going to create a new page. I'm going to call it Canvas Studio video sharing example, and add that item to the module. I'll go ahead and publish it. I just do that because I always forget to do it. And then the next thing you know, people who are trying to find it can't find it, other than me. And I'm going to click on the name of that page. It's a Canvas page, but it's empty. I haven't added anything to it. I'm going to edit that page in order to add content to it. And I'm going to embed a Canvas Studio video into this page. I do that by going to the little electric cord or apps icon here in Canvas Studio. And if I view all, I see all of the external tools from which I can embed things into the rich content editor in Canvas, and Canvas Studio is the one I'm interested in here. So I select that, and that brings up my Canvas Studio library. and I can scroll through that library and find the video I want to share. I just select the video that I want to share, and then I have some options. In this case, there's one option, and that's display media tabs, and that's checked by default. If I click embed, I get those things that you were talking about that you don't want. I get the video, but then I get the comments, the insights, the details. No one else will be able to edit any of this, but they will see it. And the captions tab, which they wouldn't be able to change anything, but they'd still see all this. And often enough, unless you want people to be able to make comments on the video, you probably don't want all this.
No.
So how do you avoid it? Well, it's easy. I think you've already seen how to avoid it. I'll embed that same video again, going to the apps icon and Canvas Studio, and just pick that first video. And now I will uncheck display media tabs, embed, and now the second time I just get the video.
Thank you.
That's how you do that. And you always have that option.
Thank you, Dave. I was wondering about that too.
That's the wonderful thing about question and answer session. It always helps. They often enough, they always help other people as well as the person asking the question. So how about some more questions?
Thank you. I have a question, just a general question for when Zoom's recording and we have all the transcripts. Do this personal chat also get like recorded?
No. I believe only the chat messages sent to everyone are recorded.
I was just wondering about that.
I'm pretty sure of that. I'm not 100% certain, okay? I'd have to go back and look that up. We can do that. I'll show you what I do, and I'm not sure the answer to the question. I go to Google. I was put off just a little bit when my doctor did this during a routine visit the other day. Oh, let me check that. I haven't heard of that. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, Dr. Google. All righty. Let's see. Are private chat messages recorded in Zoom? Here we go. No, not exactly. Here we go. Oops. If you record an entire meeting or just the chat, private messages visible to you are recorded in are included in your recording. So no, if the host will only see the, let's see, record a work meeting. Yeah, no, only the messages visible to the person who's doing the recording, the host, or if you're allowed to make your own private recording, which the host can allow you to do, only in those cases would only the messages that you can see would be recorded. So the answer basically to your question is no. Private chat messages, unless you send one to me, If you send me a private chat message and I'm the one hosting the meeting and starting the recording, then yes, those messages would be included in the chat log that's saved along with the recording.
Mhm.
But if you send it to somebody else and pass notes in class about me, I'll never know.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah,
I've had that
curious.
experience, and it was quite shattering. I'll never forget it. One time I was having a bad night lecturing, and I was cleaning up after class and sweeping up. It was one of those full service facilities. I found a note that one student passed to another and just dropped on the floor, and it was something unflattering about my performance that night. So I made a promise of not looking at those anymore.
It happened to me once too, Dave, at San Diego State when I was an intern. There was a picture, a drawing of me, but it didn't have anything bad, but it was just a picture.
It wasn't something you anticipated finding. I understand.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So no, you don't have to worry about that. As long as you don't send it to me, you're all right. All right.
Okay, well, have a nice rest of your afternoon.
Thanks for
We'll
coming.
see you next time. Thank you.
Appreciate
God
it.
bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dave. This is
How about some
great.
more questions? You're very welcome. Thank you for coming. It's great to have the chance to talk and see and talk to you all like this.
Thank you, Dave. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
We'll be back next month. Anybody else? Anything else that I can help with? Well, hearing none, I'll wish you a good day and hope to see you again soon. Take care.